This is Trey Pass, so welcome to my review of Stargirl, Season 3, Episode 7. This is season's called Frenemies, and this is Chapter 7. This is called Infinity Inc., Part 1. Okay, now things are picking up. We found out last episode that the cameras are following everybody around the town. Beth discovered that when she hacked, she got the laptop from the gambler, and she discovered what he discovered, that there's cameras all around town. And so the team comes up with a plan for them to find all to act normal and then go search. And actually, what Beth does is kind of ingenious. She hacks into the power grid and causes a blackout. And then the team goes around to, basically get rid of all the cameras. And we see whoever's watching the cameras, you see him get frustrated. He smashes the little jigsaw puzzle that he's doing. But actually, the episode begins very interesting. It begins where it kind of left off last season. Not where it left off, where it kind of we had kind of Jenny's origin story. The character of Jenny, the son of the daughter, of Green Lantern. And when she turned 18, she got kicked out of the group home that she was in, because she turned 18, so she had to go out on her own. And she sat. The lady gave her, I guess it was a lozenges little container that they were supposed to give to her when she was 18, and you see her opening up and what we saw last season, when she opens up the thing, she gets the ring. But at the same time, we also see in this season, what we see is at the same time her twin brother Todd, who she's looking for, who they were separated as kids. We see he's breaking. Well, him and his friend are breaking into it looks like a highfalutin restaurant, high class restaurant, and Todd just want to know what's going on, and his friend tells him, "Listen, I just wanted to do something nice for your birthday." And he says, basically, have a seat, and I'm gonna go put the steaks on. And he goes to the kitchen. So at the same time, Jenny's opening the case and seeing the ring, and you see her eyes light up. You see Todd's eyes light up, but you also see he has an additional power. It looks like he has sort of the shades power, okay, and his eyes darken and causes sort of like this big explosion. And his friend comes running out of the kitchen, wondering what's going on. And then of course we hear the police sirens in the background, and Todd tells his friend to run, go ahead, I don't want you here. Actually, one other thing happened before that. He saw, a card that his friend got to him. There's actually 2 tickets for him and his friend to go look for his sister. So we had the same, Jenny's looking for her brother. He's actually looking for her as well. And the friend got 2 bus tickets so they could, I guess, go to wherever they think she is to try to help, try to find her, go to another city or something to look for her at the same time. Anyway, he tells the friend to leave, because the cops are coming. You can hear the cops coming in the background. His friend takes off, and the cops come, and they tell him, "Listen, okay, you're not here for your friend." He said, "Come with us," and they take him to the Helix Institution. Now, we saw this last season when Courtney and Pat went there, and they looked with Jenny, because that was where Jenny went to before, and that's where she she told them that she's looking for her brother, and they said that the brother was never there and stuff. But Jenny still feels that he's out there, okay. And so we see that these cops are on the take. They bring them to, and the lady, I forgot the nurse lady that's there, I guess works with Mr. Bones. She says, your payment will be got, and she takes him into the institution and asks him, if he wants something to eat. If not, and she tells him, "Listen, I know your history. I know your father was the Green Lantern. I know he's dead and stuff." And he said, and she's basically trying to make him feel at ease and tell him that she's on his side. Also, at the same time this is all going on, we also see that, like I said, the town, they're trying to act normal. This is before Beth, causes the power outage, and they're trying to sit at the table like they're having dinner in a normal way. But of course, Pat and Mike are totally blowing it, while Courtney and Barbara are more natural. And you can even hear Sylvester over the comms saying, "Really, yeah, they're more natural than you, Pat and Mike," which I thought was hilarious. That was a nice little levity in there. And then we also see Zeke and Jakeem and Rick are in the garage, playing. I think I think that's called Doctor. That the game where you have to put the pieces into the thing. If you hit the side of it, it buzzes off, and then the game's over. You lose the game. I forgot what that name. It's called Doctor, I think, but some kind of Doctor version of that. They're playing that at the same time. And then also we see Yolanda she's at the the restaurant, and then she gets a call from her mom, and then she says, "Listen, I know this is the you're there. This is like the first time I tried to call before to tell your boss not to schedule you for so many late night shifts, and you weren't. This is the first time that you're there." So she says we're going to talk later, and then of course the power goes out around town. So Beth is successful, cutting down the power, and then her and Rick, dress up as Hour Man and Dr. Midnight, and they go around to the school and try to, detect all the cameras and pull them out. And we also see, remember, that Rick has pulled the eliminator out of his father's hourglass, and now you see that he's extra hyper and extra violent. There's even the moment where he just basically tosses around furniture just for no reason. And so he's like super pumped up, and even Beth notices this, what's going on, and he tells her that he took the eliminator out of there, so he's he's going to be Hour Man. He won't be just an Hour Man anymore. He's going to be strong in 24 hours. So you can see where that's going to go probably in the future. He's basically having steroid rage, a permanent steroid rage. And then also we see at the same time the Shade comes to visit, where Pat and Courtney are in the basement, looking for more cameras. Once the power goes out, everybody goes looking for cameras, and Pat and Courtney are in the basement looking around, and Pat tells her, you can talk to me, don't feel like, that you can't talk to me. I understand that you're going through a rough time, but you and Yolanda and everything else. And then at the same time, the Shade appears. He suddenly appears and tells Courtney Whitmore, okay, I have need of you. And Pat says, what are you talking about? You need about? What are you talking about? And she said, well, I don't have the staff with me. He said, I don't need you to have the staff. I just need you to come with me. And basically, grabs her to go. And then Pat, said, hey, what's going on? He jumps into the shadow as well. And then the next thing you know, they're in a basement somewhere. And of course, the Shade, he's saying, Pat's going, what's going on? He said, well, listen, you just tagged along. I just needed Courtney to help. And he goes on to explain that his powers have been on the fritz for a while now, and he's just wondering what's causing it. And then he explains that he discovered this like green energy light that's kind of infiltrated his shadow powers, and then he figured out that this young lady, is the source of this, and they introduced them to it. And then of course it's Jenny, of course, and then she goes on to explain how when her and Beth last season were looking around after Eclipso had left, and she thought she killed some of this that darkness shadows, but it actually it got absorbed in her ring. So that's why her ring has been acting kind of wacky as well. So both of their powers are acting wacky because she has his darkness in her ring, and he has her green power energy in his his power source. So they're trying to figure out a way how to separate those, and they thought that that Courtney could do that. And Courtney was because she overcame Eclipso last season, and she was saying, listen, I had the staff, and she told us I was thinking about Pat and what the Starman said to me and stuff, and I didn't want to lose. And she said basically she did it on her own will, and she overcame Eclipso with her own will, strong will. Okay, and at the same time, we also see up in the Helix field, and we see Todd laid out on a slab. He's like tied down, and he's getting zapped with energy, with this like light energy. And we see Mr. Bones, and the nurse there, and she saw it. He says 6 months we've had this, and it still hasn't solved the problem. He said we're gonna have to go to different measures, and he said turn up the power, and basically you see her turn up the power on the control panel, reluctantly turn it up, and you see him screaming real loud. And then we go back to Courtney and them in the basement, and we find out from them that that's where they are. They're in the Helix Institute. They're in the basement part of it, and Jenny said, listen, I'm not going anywhere without my brother. He's upstairs. Obviously these people lied to me, but I'm not going anywhere without him. And then Courtney convinces the Shade, because Shade doesn't care about it. He just wants to get the power out of him, the green energy source out, so his powers can go back to normal. But Courtney tells him, listen, by helping her, you're going to help yourself as well, because once she gets her brother back, she'll be able to focus, and then y'all can resolve both of your power issues. Okay, and so they reluctantly head upstairs to try to rescue her brother. And then at the same time, we see Yolanda in her home. She's looking around for she's talking to Sylvester aka Starman, on the comm, and he's telling her, "Listen, you and Courtney, you just had a little disagreement, but if you just talk about it, you'll resolve it, and you'll still be friends." And at the same time, her mother walks in the room and says basically, "You've been lying to me, okay? And I want to see your phone, okay, about where you've been. So, is it boys? Is it something else? Just really giving her a hard time." And then Yolanda just stands up for herself and said, "Listen, I'm not gonna do it. You either trust me or you don't, okay?" And you see, kind of, go off there. And then later we see a knock on the door with actually we go back to the Courtney's house, and we see Mike go down to the basement looking for Pat and Courtney, where he just sees the two flashlights on the ground, and he runs upstairs to tell Barbara. So now they know that wherever they were, they're not there anymore in the basement. And later we hear a knock on the door. Barbara opens it, and we see Yolanda with her bags, saying that she knows that her and Courtney are not really speaking now, but she left her house. She basically not ran. Well, I guess she left her. She ran away from home. She's not putting up with her mother's crap anymore, and and Barbara gives her a hug because she breaks down, and Barbara gives her a hug and stuff. So I guess Yolanda's going to be staying with them for the foreseeable future. And I think in the future she's probably going to get emancipated or something, because I think she's 16, I think. So she's, I think, legally able to get emancipated. So we'll see if that happens or if she reconciles with her family. But unless the family changes their ways, I don't see how else it can happen. Except, she's just going to, I think, get emancipated and be on her own. Okay. And now, anyway, now we go back to the Helix Institute, and where they go upstairs, and Jenny uses her power ring to get through the security devices, and they go in, and they see her brother on the thing getting zapped with energy, and she tells him, "Listen, I'm here. I'm your sister. I'm here." And she says, "Let me free." And he goes, "No, don't touch me. If you touch me, if I leave this room, it could literally end the world." That's what he tells her. It's going to be that. And she said, "Listen, I just can't leave you here," and stuff. And then they try to pull him off, and big explosion, and we see her eyes light up, and we see his shadow powers come out again, and it's like zapping the room. And you see all these dark shadows going everywhere, and Pat and Shay get caught up in it, and they get zapped out of the room. And next thing we know, we see them in the Shadowland. They're laying on the ground, and they wake up, and you see, when they look all around, it's the Shadowlands from last season. But they look around, they're looking around, and they're looking at each other, and then all of a sudden you hear a car honking, and they get out of the way. It's a car's barreling down on them, and then it goes off like that. So this was a really good episode. Things are starting to move now. We have Mr. Bones back into the story now. He appeared in this episode twice. In the beginning, when Todd first got to the Institute, and he was explaining to him about his powers and stuff. And then the second time, when he was telling the nurse to turn up the power, because it's been 6 months and we still haven't really got a handle on controlling his powers. So turn up the power. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits into all of this going forward. Okay, I don't know about I read comics, but I don't know about the character Mr. Bones. So I want to see how this exactly fits into. Like I said, I think what he's ultimately trying to do. Excuse me, is trying to harness Todd's powers for his own whatever goals he has in mind. But I think he wants to harness Todd's power. But right now he just has no control over him. So that's what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to get him to control his powers. I don't know how they do it by zapping him with that white light, but I think that's the ultimate goal. He's trying to get him to control the powers, and then he can use it. Okay, but that's so we'll see what happens with Jenny and Courtney are the only ones left in there in the room with her brother. So I'm wondering if they're gonna try to escape and come back, or if they get captured, and we see exactly what's going on in the Helix Institute, see other prisoners or whatever else is going on, what Mr. Bones has going on there. And then also at the same time, back in Blue Valley, we have Rick and Beth pulling out the cameras from the school, and we see Rick. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this as well. Right when he was getting ready to pull out one of the last cameras, the power comes back on. So she had hacked the power grid, so it was out for a few hours, but then it came back on right when he was getting ready to punch, punch a hole and get the last camera out of there. Okay, and that happened, and then of course Yolanda leaving her mom's house and moving in with to Courtney's house, because her mother's just being just being extra, and she can't deal with it anymore. So she just left and broke down and left. And so we'll see what happens with that. And so things are picking up on this show, and we had no Cindy in this episode, so I'm definitely interested to see where Cindy is, because they did mention that they don't know, because I think that was one of the things that Courtney was talking to Pat about in the basement, that now Cindy's wandered off, so we don't know what she's doing right now, and she needs help, so hopefully she's not with the Helix, and you never know, because if they've been monitoring the cameras and stuff there, you never know if they went to. And then, of course, we still have the Cameron issue as well. But Courtney's right now, she's in a Helix Institute. So a lot of moving parts, but things are starting to pick up and stuff. So I'm definitely, and again, I still don't know if Mr. Bones is exactly the one that's looking at the cameras. At first, I thought it was, Sydney's father, but the Dragon King. But then I thought maybe it was just Mr. Bones. But now I don't know if it's now I'm thinking it maybe not Mr. Bones, maybe somebody associated with him, maybe, or maybe it could be the Dragon King. It could be him, but we'll see how that plays out and when the reveal happens. But anyway, let me know what you think of this episode. I thought this episode was really good. A lot of things happened. I think the first 7 minutes of this episode was the whole Jenny and her brother subplot. That was the first focus. You didn't see any of the regulars on the show until I think 8 minutes in. The first 8 minutes of the show was basically Jenny and her brother, and tying those stories together, which is really nice way to introduce it and pick up things. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think of this episode. Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, Love Using Opinions. You check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon. Okay, my Patreon's only $5 a month. I have tons of content on there, tons of unedited content on there. I got everything from Stargirl to She-Hulk to Titans, Doom Patrol, Flash, Superman and Lois, like I said, Stargirl, WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Book of Boba Fett, all 4 parts of Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Boys Season 3. Okay, so follow link below to the Patreon and check it out. Also, give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trade Pass. So saying so long, and take care.